Red Sox and Minnesota Twins putting some final touches on the roster for the 2018 season. From Fort Myers, Florida, specifically the CenturyLink Sports Complex, it's the final meeting of the year between the Red Sox and the Minnesota Twins. And we welcome you to Hammond Stadium here in Fort Myers. I'm Dick Bramer from Fox Sports North. He, of course, Jerry Remy from the New England Sports Network. The Boston Red Sox figure to have a very good pitching staff this year. Chris Sale leading the way on opening day and followed right behind by one of the other best left-handers in the game, David Price.
Well, David Price getting the start today in this ball game, and he is one of the key members of this whole rotation, in my opinion, for the Boston Red Sox. Last year, a total disaster. He was injured the whole year until the playoffs. He came back to pitch a little bit in the playoffs, to pitch very well, and that has continued this spring. He's probably going to go about 3 or 4 innings in this. If he doesn't reach his pitch count today, he'll throw the rest of it in the bullpen. They don't want to take a chance of getting him hurt before opening day.
Biggest objective for teams the final week of spring training is clarity, and the Minnesota Twins got some of that a couple of days ago when they found out from Major League Baseball that their slugging third baseman Miguel Sano will not be suspended and will be in the starting lineup in Baltimore.
Well, that's certainly a great thing for Minnesota Twins, and for also for Sano, because he's one of the budding stars in this league, and to get him on the field and playing is certainly going to help this ball club early. It would have been kind of a disaster had he not been in the first few games for them, but you know, Sano, we all enjoy watching him around baseball. He's such an exciting player.
Both teams, both Boston and Minnesota, will open up the regular season on Thursday, but still a little business to conduct here in Florida, with the Red Sox taking on the Twins in just a moment. In Fort Myers, and we're happy to have Tom Caron as part of our broadcast crew here this afternoon. Tom, what are we going to be talking about here today?
Well, the Red Sox are talking about Chris Sale, thankfully still being ready for opening day. You know, these final days of spring training are all about staying healthy. So it's quite a scare for the Red Sox yesterday in the first inning when Chris Sale got hit by a line drive and got taken out of the game. Everyone feared the worst when it happened, and he grabbed his knee, which was the real concern. But he said the pain just radiated down there. The x-rays were negative, and today it's just a sore hip. So he'll throw an aggressive bullpen tomorrow, be ready to go for opening day on Thursday, and that's great news for the Red Sox. And make no mistake, it wasn't just the Red Sox who were concerned about that. All of baseball notices when a pitcher like Sale gets hit by a line drive. Joe Mauer came over to me during batting practice today and said, hey, how's Chris Sale? He can be ready to go? Everybody was talking about it today. So everyone just trying to stay healthy here today and get this game under the way and get it in the books. Guys?
Yeah, what was so frightening about it, coming on the heels of what happened to Madison Bumgarner, and he's going to be lost for the first couple months of the year for the Giants. Take a look at the Red Sox batting order. Mookie Betts will lead things off. J.D. Martinez, Hanley Ramirez, Andrew Benintendi, Xander Bogaerts, Mitch Moreland, Eduardo Nunez, Rafael Devers, and Christian Vasquez. And they'll be taking on right-hander Kyle Gibson for the Twins. Obviously, his last spring start. The Twins are looking to Gibson to show more consistency this year. He was not very good at all early in the season last year. In fact, got sent down to the minor leagues and then came back with 2 very strong months. And what the Twins want to see is what they saw in August and September start with his first start here later this week.
Now gaining confidence, I'm sure, here in spring training.
And Betts takes a strike. It's 1-1. Betts, Martinez, and Ramirez. Alex Cora mixing the lineup up a little bit here today, moving Martinez up to the second spot. There's a swing and a miss.
Yeah, I think what they're doing right now is just trying to get J.D. Martinez a few more at-bats per game, and that's why he's up in the second spot. You will not see that during the regular season.
You hit second a lot. You and J.D. Martinez, that's kind of
pretty much the same thing.
Similar game, right? Yeah. Check swing, and it's 2-2.
Yeah. He hits more home runs in batting practice than I hit my whole career.
2-2 to Mookie Betts. Got off to a slow start in the spring. Hitless in his first 16 at-bats, but no one is the least bit concerned. One of the best players in the game. Dribbled up the right side, foul.
Yeah, one of the things the Red Sox are trying to do this year is be more aggressive early in the count. You know, there used to be a team that would try to wear down starting pitchers and get into the bullpen. Well, the game has changed so much right now that that's not normally the case. So Alex Cora's been, you know, pumping to these guys. If you get a good pitch to hit early in the bat, take a swing at it. If it's your pitch, go get it.
A high blast, left center field. Back and gone out of the ballpark. And Mookie Betts with a home run on a 2-2 pitch. And the Red Sox jump out early.
And most of the home runs that Mookie Betts hits are pulled, and that time he got a hanging breaking ball from Gibson that he takes out of the ballpark. You know, Dick, what the Red Sox have done, you know, last year Betts would hit down in the lineup in that 4 spot quite often, and they want him to be like a George Springer. Put him back in the leadoff spot where the Red Sox can get a quick lead with a home run, and that's exactly what Betts provided right there.
It's one of the reasons the Twins have left Brian Dozier in the leadoff spot for them, with 104 home runs the last 3 years, exclusively as a leadoff batter.
Hanging breaking ball, good job staying back on it was Betts, and he gets the barrel of the bat on it, and there was no question about that.
Here's J.D. Martinez. Off the plate, and it's 2-0. Martinez playing in left field this afternoon. And he swings through a Gibson fastball, 2-1.
And pretty much like all teams do, they shift on the infield against Martinez. They play him to pull, but in the outfield, they shade him the other way. Very good opposite field hitter, especially when he gets the ball in the air.
And that one blistered through the hole on the left side. Not much room over there, but Martinez found room for a single, and that'll bring up Hanley Ramirez.
The first baseman.
Hell, that time Martinez stays on the ground and gets the ground ball through the shift. Right between the second baseman, Dozier, and Escobar.
And now Ramirez. Well, the Red Sox have been swinging the bats over the final week, which is what, if you're Alex Cora, you really want to see
guys,
your guys swinging the bats.
My ear just went haywire. I'm hearing all Nats now and not the play-by-play.
Red Sox are also pitching very well. Again, that's how you would draw it up if you could. Forget what happens in this case in February when the games start, but towards the end of March you want your team playing well.
Exactly, especially the last week. You know, get some confidence built up before the season does start, pitching wise, hitting wise, defense, and putting the final touches on all the fundamentals that they've worked on all spring.
Tomorrow the Twins will go to DC to play a game that doesn't count, while the Red Sox are hosting the Cubs, who are coming across from Arizona. They'll open the season against the Marlins. So a couple games left for the Red Sox to play. right off the end of the bat towards the Boston dugout.
That's kind of been interesting having the Cubs come down and play a couple of games, a 6 o'clock start, 1 o'clock start, and of course the Red Sox go up to Tampa Bay and then to Miami to open the season.
That's a nice, convenient way to start the season.
Yeah,
you're down here for 6 weeks, and then you get to spend an extra week and check off a couple of boxes, get a trip out of to Florida out of the way when you're already down there. Swing and a miss. And Ramirez strikes out, one down. That'll get us to Benintendi. Twins out in the field have what we expect to be the opening day lineup. Thursday in Baltimore, Rosario in left, Buxton in center, Kepler in right, Sano, Escobar, Dozier, Mauer, and Castro. Escobar will be the starting shortstop because of the suspension of Jorge Polanco. And there is strike one. Twins found out a week ago today that their starting shortstop would get pinched for 80 games for a PED suspension. And that's an unfortunate situation, to be sure. The thinnest of silver linings is it happened late in spring training. Remember last year when the Pirates lost Gregory Polanco 2 weeks into the season. That was a tough thing because the season had already started.
Right.
Here, at least, the Twins are able to, adjust in spring training before the regular season starts. And down and in a ball.
Benintendi, who's hitting today in the 4 spot in the Red Sox batting order. During the season, he will be hitting behind Mookie Betts. He'll be the number 2 hitter in the lineup for the most part of the season, depending on how things go, but that's how they're going to start it.
1-2 to Benintendi. Popped up behind third. And Rosario with a long run makes the catch for out number 2.
Got some things to deal with today. Obviously the sun, no clouds out there at all to help out the outfielders, infielders on pop-up. So fly balls could be very interesting today in the beautiful sunshine here in Southwest Florida.
Few high puffy clouds, that's the extent of it. Very warm and muggy. 2 down, and now Bogaerts. The inning started with a long home run off of the bat of Mookie Betts, then a sharp single by Martinez, and now Gibson striking out Ramirez, getting Benintendi on a pop-up, and Bogaerts punches one through the hole on the right side. Martinez checks in at second.
Dick, earlier I mentioned about Red Sox being more aggressive, and that's exactly what we're talking about. Xander a lot of time would take himself to 2 strikes, and they try to get him out with breaking balls away last year. He did have a problem with his hand, which certainly hurt his production. But that time jumping quickly on a pitch and taking it to the opposite field for the base hit. Very good opposite field hitter.
Mitch Moreland, the designated hitter. Twins have a pull shift on for Moreland, who lines one to right. Kepler retreats and makes the catch. A loud top of the first inning with Kyle Gibson allowing just 1 run on 3 hits. And the Red Sox jump out early 1-0. course, just a few years old. The renovations made here in the Twins training camp and the Lee County Sports Complex. Here's the Twins batting order, and not only the lineup looking like what it might on opening day, but the batting order as well. Dozier, Mauer, Sano, Rosario, Escobar, Morrison, Kepler, Buxton, and Castro. The only difference might be the Twins on opening day will face a right-hander, Dylan Bundy, and today they're facing a really good lefty in David Price.
See the numbers last year for, last season for Price, 16 games, only 11 starts, basically hurt all season long, came back in the playoffs and pitched very well against Houston out of the bullpen. But the Red Sox don't want him in the bullpen. They want him in the starting rotation. That's where he's been, and that's where he hopes to have success this year.
Brian Dozier takes up and in, ball one. Dozier, Mauer, and Sano to get things started. Swing and a miss, 1-1. Mentioned the Red Sox are pitching well. They come into this game with a staff scoreless inning streak of 20 innings. And you really can't, unfortunately, give Chris Sale much of the credit for that because he had an abbreviated outing yesterday, and thankfully he's going to be okay. Here's a drive to left center. And Dozier puts a ringer on the ball that Betts hit. Each leadoff man has power, and each leadoff man has shown it here this afternoon.
Now you hit it right in the head, Dick. You know, the fact that both guys have the ability to give you the quick strike, and certainly Dozier has been doing that for many, many years for the Minnesota Twins. It looks like he got a high-cut fastball that time that he jumped all over for the home run.
One of the interesting things to watch, Jerry, and the game has changed so much recently, but certainly from when you played, it'll be interesting to see at the end of the year which leadoff batter leads that position in home runs. Will it be Dozier? Will it be Betts? Will it be Aaron Judge, who the Yankees are threatening to hit in the leadoff spot?
It's all launch and lift right now, isn't it? There's that swing, powerful swing by Dozier on that. Looked like a cut fastball that stayed upstairs for David Price.
One strike to Mauer. And down and in, just missing. I mean, it's entirely possible if the Yankees follow through with this, that the league leader in home runs could be a leadoff batter.
It's hard to believe. You know, you mentioned that the game changing, and it's all about hitting home runs and doubles.
Inside again to Mauer. Teams have regularly done this to the three-time batting champion, a pull shift in the infield, even though if you looked at his career hit chart, the hits would be going primarily to left field, but not on the ground. And so, talking with Joe about this the other day, he said, you know, the look of the shift, and the fan at home says, well, why doesn't he just hit the ball to the left side on the ground? It depends. I mean, if you're paying attention, Mauer knows where they're going to pitch him, right? Because Price is going to try to pitch into the shift and not leave anything out over the plate.
Exactly. But one thing that's come into vogue this spring that I've noticed, a lot of guys are trying to bunt against that shift.
2-2. And a ball chopped up the middle. Bogarts has it, and Mauer's retired. We had a game here the other day where, with Logan Morrison at the plate, I had never seen this before. They had four infielders on the right side of the infield. All four infielders were on the pull side. Here you see the Red Sox out in the field. Martinez in left, Benintendi in center, Betts in right, Devers, Bogarts, Nunez, Ramirez, and Vasquez around the mound. Here's Miguel Sano. Have you ever seen that?
No, I have never seen four infielders on one side of the infield. Did he even consider dropping down a bunt?
I don't think so.
No. You know, he's not here to bunt, is he?
No. And there is ball one to Miguel Sano. Sano playing through spring training with a cloud of a possible suspension hanging over his head, but that was cleared up a couple days ago when Major League Baseball said there were no provable grounds for a suspension. Oddly, it came down, the news came down the same day that the Red Sox got just the opposite news regarding Stephen Wright.
Yeah, 15 games for Stephen Wright.
1-1 to Miguel Sano. Popped up behind second. Nunez will stagger a bit, fighting the sun, makes the play, 2 down. And that'll bring up Eddie Rosario.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to all the fans in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area for my accent. I'm sure we should have subtitles.
Well, to balance that, I'll drop a few you betches on the broadcast for the New England audience. Here is Rosario. Well, for the Twins fans who are aware, I'm very happy to report that you're looking and feeling great, and I think you know this. Baseball fans all across the country have had you in their thoughts and prayers, and we're just so encouraged with how you're looking and feeling.
I appreciate that. It's been a long haul, but it's great to be down here back doing baseball.
Rosario with a foul, 1 strike. Rosario's spring training interrupted a bit because of some tendonitis in his throwing elbow. That has subsided, but he does have a little ground to try to make up for. The Twins have been looking for opportunities to give him as many at-bats as possible. Foul back. Rosario emerged in the middle of last season as one of the better hitters in the league. He really turned it on down the stretch for the Twins, and the most encouraging thing with this nucleus of 23, 24, and 25-year-old young players, Rosario has always been able to handle left-handers well. He hit left-handers almost as well as right-handers last year. But that said, a tough assignment here with 2 strikes against David Price. And that's the one thing that the Twins have seen from Rosario. Used to be when with 2 strikes, if you blink, you miss strike 3. But he's been able to develop through more experience, a little more discerning eye at the plate with 2 strikes. And there's strike 3. A leadoff home run for the Twins, and we head to the second, tied at 1. Mid-80s. Some areas of Minnesota got as much as a foot of snow last couple of days, and I know it's been snowing more often than it's not been snowing in New England, it seems like.
Been a bad second half of the winter in New England. There's no question about that.
Each team getting a leadoff home run in the first inning, and now Eduardo Nunez will lead off the second, then Rafael Devers and Christian Vasquez. It's just 2 years ago that Nunez was in camp with the Twins, got a chance to play on a regular basis, and played his way into a spot on the All-Star team. And here was a guy who has never become really a full-time player until the 2016 season. He ended up getting over 550 at-bats between the Twins and the Giants, whom the Twins traded him to right after the All-Star break.
Now Nunez right now in position to be the second baseman because they're waiting for Dustin Pedroia to get back into the lineup.
And over the inside corner, a strike.
Which would probably happen sometime, I would think, in May.
to center, and Buxton hardly has to move. One down. And that'll bring up Rafael Devers. Devers hitting 8th and Vasquez hitting 9th. Red Sox have played awfully well as of late. We told you about the pitching and the hitting. They won 11 of their last 12. Devers with a big swing and a miss. Swing and a foul back, I should say. 1 strike. And inside. Both Price from the left side, Gibson from the right side, I guess you could describe them as minimalists in terms of their delivery. Price hardly moves at all before he coils up and fires, and Gibson from the right side is kind of a similar low maintenance delivery.
I would agree with you. Yeah, there's no question about both guys. Very limited action before they go ahead and deliver that first pitch or any pitch.
Tried to clip the inside corner but missed, and it's 2-2.
Devers, one of those guys that offensively, certainly a lot of potential for him as you look down the road. And one of the things they're working on is his defense. He had some problems defensively coming up. He's only a young kid.
And a changeup gets a swing and a miss. 2 down. And that'll bring up Vasquez.
That's a good changeup, working down and away.
The catcher, number 7, Christian Vasquez.
See, Devers likes that ball from the middle of the plate in, and if you can throw that off-speed pitch away like Gibson did there, that's going to get him most of the time.
Granted from the right side, but the Twins brought onto the field former Twins pitcher who was a pretty good changeup artist from the left side. Johan Santana's daughter sang the national anthem here today, which was a treat.
Did a great job.
Johan looks like he could still pitch. Strike 1. Johan makes his home here in Fort Myers. Will be inducted into the Twins Hall of Fame this summer. The lone inductee. Vasquez with a big event in the last day or two, signing a 3-year contract extension.
Had a chance to see him yesterday leaving the ballpark, and of course we got the news prior to the ball game that he got the 3-year extension, and he was pretty excited about it. You can't blame him, right, Jay?
Well, the Red Sox securing him. Catching is in such short supply in baseball, and they were able to work out a deal with Vasquez, who's had to come back from the Tommy John surgery. We were talking about it when I was doing the telecast at JetBlue a week and a half ago. It seems rare that position player would have that injury. Miguel Sano had it for the Twins. Vasquez dealing with it a couple of years ago.
Yeah, he's pretty much back to full strength as far as his throwing ability. Very quick feet and strong throwing arm from behind the plate, and also has improved immensely as a hitter over the last couple of seasons.
How's this going to play out with him and Sandy Leon, do you think?
I think Vasquez is going to get most of the work, and I think Leon will get a couple of starts, say, per 5 pitches.
This one to left center, chased by Adriano Rosario and Buxton, and that ball is off the wall. Buxton fires it. Actually thought about throwing to second and then hit the cutoff man. So a double off the fence and left for Vasquez with 2 out.
That's kind of what I was talking about. Vasquez came to the big leagues as an opposite field hitter, and now he's learning how to pull the ball. That time he gets a ball that's slightly middle in and takes that ball into the gap. You can see Buxton, Rosario going back. Looked like he might have had a chance to get out of here, but right at the bottom of the fence, and Vasquez standing at second base with a 2-base hit.
Betts clobbered one over the fence in left center field, his first time up on a 2-2 pitch. And a strike on the outside corner. Good teams, and the Red Sox are certainly that, but good teams seem to have a number of players that are assets at the plate and in the field, and they certainly have one of those with Mookie Betts.
He can do just about everything. You know, he can hit for average, although the average did dip a little bit last season. He's got power. He's got great speed. He's got a great throwing arm and a terrific defender out there in right field. Covers an awful lot of ground, especially in that big right field at Fenway Park.
1-1 to Betts. Runner goes to third, and Castro can't get a grip on it. So no throw, an uncontested steal for the catcher.
Yeah, that's a surprise right there, because nobody, you know, with 2 outs, infielders dip back and they don't pay much attention. It was kind of a walking lead right there by Vasquez, and he said, look, if you're not going to pay attention to me, nor the pitcher, I might as well try to take it. And he did, no problem.
You got to make sure you're going to be safe with 2 outs, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
2-1 to Betts. And missing down and in, 3-1 with J.D. Martinez on deck. One of the reasons the Twins jumped up and got a playoff spot last year. They had more two-way players. Buxton in center, Rosario in left, Dozier at second, Mauer at first. Three and one to Mookie Betts. Right off the end of the bat, foul, full count.
That's one that disappoints a hitter right there. You get your count in your favor, 3 ball, 1 strike, and then just fouls one off to the opposite side. That's not exactly what you're looking to do in that count.
Outside, Betts will take a walk. First and third, 2 down for J.D. Martinez.
Now, normally in this situation, I would say look out for Betts to try and steal second base. But with J.D. Martinez at the plate, I'm not so sure that's going to happen. He wants to get some swings in, and he's looking for that first home run in the spring.
Martinez drilled a sharp single to left center field through the infield shift. Now with a runner at first, the Twins don't have the pull shift on for Martinez. And keeping an eye on Betts nonetheless. To left center and down for a hit. Not hit well. And Betts trying for third. And Rosario's throw off mark. It's the first time I've seen Rosario attempt to throw back to the infield since he missed some time. And ordinarily a very accurate thrower. He wasn't going to get Betts anyway, but the throw was offline. First to third, and the Red Sox have the lead.
Now, once again, J.D. Martinez. This one a little bit toward the end of the bat, but he does find that gap out there again. And you're right about the throw. You can see how off target it is going to third base, so they had no chance to get Mookie Betts. So that gets Hanley Ramirez to the plate with a first and third situation now with 2 outs.
Ramirez struck out swinging his first time up. And knocked down by Dozier. It'll be a hit. Scoring is Betts, and J.D. Martinez scampers to third. So not a good outing for Gibson as he finds himself behind here 3-1. He's only retired 5 batters of the 12 he's faced.
And Red Sox fans like to see it when Hanley Ramirez goes up the middle or uses the opposite field, this time going towards second base. A nice effort by Dozier. As he dives, he knocks it down, but with the man at third base, they score easily, and Ramirez picks up an RBI, his 6th RBI of the spring.
Runners on the corners again for Benintendi, who hit a pop-up down the left field line, caught by Rosario. 6 hits in 12 plate appearances for the Red Sox. Chop to the right side, Mauer with the play, and a retreat to the bag to end the inning. But a walk, 3 hits, and a couple runs for the Red Sox. They lead it 3-1. Going to have an all right-handed rotation, but Tom Caron, the Red Sox have plenty of lefties to pick from.
Dick, no doubt about that. David Price on the mound for his second inning work. He's one of them, obviously. He dealt with injuries last year. Red Sox rotation dealing with injuries this year. We were told yesterday by manager Alex Cora that both Drew Pomeranz and Eduardo Rodriguez would start the season on the DL. Stephen Wright has a 15-game suspension, as you mentioned earlier. So Dana Levangie, the pitching coach for the Red Sox, working with Cora to patch it together. Brian Johnson, a lefty, will be in the rotation. And then we will see between either Hector Velasquez, Marcus Walden, or Justin Haley who will finish out that rotation. One thing to note, after he makes a start in the 4th or 5th game, that number 5 starter won't be needed again until April 15th because of all the off days.
Little looper off the bat of Escobar, caught by Nunez, 1 down. That name Justin Haley might be familiar to Twins fans because he was a Rule 5 pickup by the Twins last year. Started the year, pitched in 10 games for the Twins, and then was returned to the Red Sox.
Yeah, that's a name that coming into spring training that you couldn't even really put on the radar screen, but he's pitched his way on the radar screen with some openings because of injuries.
1 down, that'll bring up Logan Morrison, and the Red Sox only have 3 infielders on the right side. Morrison signed to a deal after camp opened, and he had a choice of 4 numbers to choose from because he was the last man in camp, and so he figured, look, if I'm the last guy in camp, I'll take number 99.
I like it. It looks good.
Right off the end of the bat, foul. Highest position player number-wise, uniform-wise, the Twins have ever had. Years ago, they had Tony Batista, who wore number 77 for some reason. Oh, 2 to Morrison. 38 home runs last year, a breakout season for the Rays. And that's hit to right, and retreating is Betts, and makes the catch on the edge of the track, 2 down. It didn't sound nor look like he got all of it, like he might have gotten in on the trademark a little bit.
I was watching him taking batting practice today, and he was putting on quite a display with the power. There's Betts who gets a very good jump out there in right field, and more of a line drive type contact out to almost just about the warning track.
2 down, that'll bring up Max Kepler. Swing and a miss through the breaking ball. Kepler has yet to master left-handed pitching. He has spent considerable time here in spring training working with Morrison but also special instructor brought into camp, Justin Morneau, who was awfully good against left-handed pitchers in his prime. Now inside, a swing and a miss again at 0-2. Just off the plate, 1-2.
Expecting him to pull as they got the shift down on the infield. 3 infielders on the right side. Straight away in the outfield.
Just missing inside. We had Morneau in our broadcast booth the other night. I asked him about working with Kepler. He said, you know, one of the keys for him, Justin Morneau, in hitting lefties, he never tried to pull the ball, would react to an off-speed pitch and pull it, but he tried to hit everything up the middle against left-handers, and that's what one of the things he's worked with Max Kepler on. Breaking ball gets him, and after the Dozier home run, Price has set down 6 men in a row. It's 3-1 Boston. Wherever you might be watching, we're glad you're watching Grapefruit League play with the Red Sox leading the Twins 3-1. I'm Dick Bramer along with Jerry Remy. Tom Caron also joining us. Red Sox getting a run in the first, 2 in the second. Gibson hoping to have a much better third inning here. Giving up 6 hits and a walk in 2 innings. Bogart singled with 2 outs in the first inning. All the years that you went to camp with the Red Sox, they were always in Winter Haven, right?
Winter Haven, Florida, yes. Our shortest trip was to Lakeland. That was about a 40-minute trip.
Right in the middle of the state, as I recall, right?
Yeah.
Well, while you were doing that, the Kansas City Royals were having spring training here in Fort Myers, and then the Royals left. And in a span of just a couple of years, the Fort Myers area first brought in the Twins in 1991, then the Red Sox a couple of years after that. And it's been an absolute boon to the economy here. I mean, the fact that both teams are here, Red Sox sell out every game at JetBlue, and the Twins have sold over 100,000 tickets again this year here at this ballpark. Swing and a foul, 1-2.
Just since we've been down here in the Fort Myers area, how much this area has grown is just remarkable.
I remember when the Twins moved here in 1991, they were bragging about their brand new airport.
Yeah.
And that was replaced 10 years ago with another
brand new airport. Yep.
It's really been remarkable. It's been a great boon to the tourist sections or tourist industry here. 1-2 to Bogarts. And a tapper foul. That looked like they got a piece of Jason Castro.
I remember doing games here and looking out past the left field wall out there, and there was absolutely nothing out there except pasture and cows.
Right.
And now they've got everything going on out there. Condos, places to eat. It's just a beautiful setting.
That was reminiscent for those of us old enough to remember the old Met Stadium days. And it probably predates you, but the old ballpark in Minnesota in Bloomington had pasture land beyond the outfield fence in the early days.
Unfortunately, I do remember.
You do? Bogarts now with a 2-2 count. Great to have Johan Santana stop by and say hi here. Looks like he can still pitch. Video games.
Going into the Twins Hall of Fame this year, right?
Yeah, well deserved. Of course, he story I always tell. He won the American League Cy Young Award in 2004 and 2006. And if you asked him what was his best year, he would say 2005, when Bartolo Colon, of all people, pitching then for the Angels, won the Cy Young Award. But Johan thought he was a better pitcher in 2005 than he was in the 2 years that he did win the Cy Young Award. But for 3-4 years there, he was as good as it got.
I remember that very, very clearly.
Bogart's having a long battle with Gibson. Pitch count running up for Gibson. He's still only recorded the 6 outs. Tapper to third. Sano Fields has a long throw to make, and Mauer digs it out. Mentioned that Sano a few years ago had to miss time because of Tommy John surgery. There is no question about Sano's arm strength. He has the strongest arm I've ever seen a third baseman have. Now the accuracy sometimes is a little less than desired.
Needed a little help from a former catcher over there at first base that time. It's like Mauer picking the ball out of the dirt like he used to do when he was catching for pitchers.
So one down with Bogarts finally retired, and now Moreland will bat, and they'll swing Sano to the right side of the infield and leave the shortstop Escobar on the left side. Break down the middle of strike. You miss those old days at Winter Haven, don't you?
No, I don't, to be quite honest with you. You had about 3 places to go eat, and that was it. A little more activity here in Southwest Florida.
Twins are warming up. Logan Lambana, I don't know if that's just to get some work in. He's a minor leaguer that was brought over here to maybe get a chance to play. And that's to left center field, down for a hit. And Rosario will scoop, spin, and fire. And a stronger throw there, and Moreland held to a single. Just little things like that are being watched closely in the Twins dugout, because Rosario's, part of his game. We mentioned him as being a plus defender because of an accurate arm, and that looked like a much better throw.
Yeah, he was in better position too, also to make that accurate throw. Watch him; he'll get to this ball and then get himself spun around, and then makes the accurate throw into the cutoff man.
Moreland with the 7th Boston hit, and now Eduardo Nunez. Have you lobbied on the telecast, having seen Nunez for a while? Have you lobbied yet that he wear a chin strap? Because the helmet always came off in Minnesota.
We had Hanley Ramirez, same thing.
Nunez, one of the more popular players to come through the Twins clubhouse in recent years. And we'll see if he gets a hit to the outfield, whether the helmet will stay on before he gets to first base. 2-0.
Quite a story, last year dropping in the playoffs in that first game down in Houston, his first at bat, and you kind of expected that he would probably have surgery. No surgery, just a rehab thing all went along, and then finally catching on again with the Red Sox with the Dustin Pedroia injury.
Just off the outside corner, now 3-0. Nunez with a fly to Buxton his first time up. on the outside corner. Behind first. A base hit. Now they've got a force play at second because Moreland was kind of hung out to dry. Not sure whether Dozier was going to be able to get to that ball or not. And as to our discussion earlier, Nunez is at first base with his helmet still on.
Yeah, absolutely nothing Moreland can do about that. You don't know if there's going to be a catch out there, and certainly you don't want to be doubled up at first base, so you've got to wait.
Paul Molitor to the mound, and I think he's going to come out and get Kyle Gibson.
There's the little bloop right there. And a heads-up play by Dozier as he goes to second base to get the out.
So Gibson might get a little more time down in the bullpen, but he's taken out of the game here with an uneven start, to say the least. The Red Sox with 7 hits through 2 2/3 innings.
How do you want to live?
The spring training game, but Logan Lombana is going to come in. He was a Midwest League pitcher last year for Cedar Rapids, the Colonels, and he'll get a chance to pitch here to Rafael Devers with 2 outs and a man at first. Lombana, former 25th round draft pick. So what we might see is Gibson sitting down as if the inning were over and then resuming a workout down in the bullpen and pitch another inning or two's worth out there. Twins have Gibson slotted to pitch Saturday against the Orioles in the second game of the season. And the Red Sox, as you said in the open, might do the same thing with David Price.
That's quite possible. Yeah, Price pitch count not real high right now, and there's a chance that he'll also go down to the bullpen, but a little disappointing for Gibson today as he wanted a better outing than that in his final tune-up before the season starts.
1 strike to Devers, and 1-1. Lombana from Long Beach State. Great baseball program there. And missing wide now 2-1.
And probably did not expect to be in this game at this stage. Could be one of those where he's in this to finish off this inning and maybe get somebody else in there to get a full warm-up between innings.
Got a swing and a miss with a fastball.
And trying to keep that ball away from Devers.
popped up. Sano giving it a look. And making the catch on the warning track. So Lombana gets the third out of the third inning, stranding Nunez at first base, and it's still 3-1.
The revolutionary beer shake is back.
Sports Network. I'm Dick Bramer from Fox Sports North. Red Sox leading the Twins 3-1. David Price still out there, having retired 6 batters in a row. And he'll face Byron Buxton, Jason Castro, and Brian Dozier. Buxton has been working diligently on his bunting, and since he's leading off an inning, he might try to do that here. He feels, he says, comfortable dropping the ball up the third baseline, but what he wants to work on is the push bunt up the right side, particularly with a left-handed pitcher on the mound. So we'll see what he tries to do here. Showing no sign of a bunt, he takes ball 1.
That's the good time to push it towards second base, is when you have that left-handed pitcher, because they're falling off toward the third base side, and there's a wide open gap as you head out to second base.
Price coming down and in, and Buxton tapping one foul, 1-1.
Now, there are certain guys that are fun to watch day in and day out, and this has got to be one of them, right?
I've said in the years I've been doing Twins baseball, he is the most distracting player I've ever seen. My job as a play-by-play guy is to follow the ball. When he hits one in the gap, I fight the urge just to watch him run.
Yeah.
He is that fast. And I don't know if it makes any sense, but at times he's so fast, it's like he's too fast for his legs. He's almost trying to make the corner. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
you know,
I got you.
When he makes the corner turns on the bases, it's almost like he spins out of control sometimes. He's so fast. Takes a called third strike, 1 down. That'll bring up Castro.
Now Price picks a good spot for this fastball. It's going to be down. It's going to be pulled up just a little bit by Vasquez behind the plate, but that's exactly where David Price wants that fastball, down around the knees or below the knees.
That'll bring up Castro. And Castro takes a strike. Well, the Red Sox had that scoreless inning streak. As you look at Fernando Rodney getting loose in the Twins' pen, he may get the 4th inning here this afternoon. Swing and a miss. Red Sox with 20 shutout innings in a row coming into play today, and in the first at bat, Dozier hit a home run, but now 7 in a row set down by Price. And what has to be encouraging, this is kind of the Twins' A lineup, and Price is getting a lot of swings and misses. Just off the plate with a fastball. That hit the corner. And Castro with some words for Scott Costello, I believe, is calling balls and strikes here today.
Now, one thing about the Red Sox rotation, there are plenty of strikeouts in it. I mean, you have David Price, you have Chris Sale, who can strike out people big time, and the combination of those two back-to-back, there should be a lot of no contact in their starts.
And that's the advantage the Red Sox have over the Yankees. The Yankees are going to score a ton of runs. I think people anticipate that. But, you know, in the last 6 years, the Red Sox have 3 of the top 4 winners in the American League. In that 6-year span, Chris Sale's won 87 games. David Price has won 86. There's Justin Verlander with 81, and then Rick Porcello with 80. So when you've got that as the top end of your rotation, you should be awfully good. And the Red Sox look to be a very good team again this year.
And, you know, you got a guy like Drew Pomerantz right now who's going to start the season on the disabled list, but when he's healthy, he's a former all-star pitcher for the National League when he was with San Diego. And Eduardo Rodriguez with tons of promise.
But you know what? And we found this out in Minnesota. It's a lot easier. Dozier clobbering a home run to tie the game.
There was some talk a while back of putting Dozier in that 3 or 4 spot, wasn't there?
Yeah, and you know, he had 2 years ago he had 42 home runs, but only drove in 99 runs because he hit in the leadoff spot. Well, what I was going to say is what we found on Minnesota for pitchers who have that promise, it's a lot easier for them to realize that promise if they're down in the rotation, and you've got some guys like Price and Sale and Porcello.
Right, to lead the way.
3-1 to Dozier. Mauer on deck. And a walk will put Dozier aboard. And that'll bring up Mauer, who returned to form last year, hit .305 with much more typical Mauer numbers. Twins had a corporate function about a week ago here in Fort Myers, and I went to it. And they had Rod Carew there, they had Tony Oliva there, and Joe Mauer. And it occurred to me that those were 13 of the 62 American League batting championships that have been won in my lifetime.
Wow.
In one restaurant.
Not bad.
Mauer won 3 batting titles as a catcher. Takes up and in. At some point early in the season, Mauer is expected to pick up his 2,000th career hit. He's in the last year of his deal in Minnesota. The presumption is that he will return to the Twins from the Twin Cities, of course. And then the question would be regarding Hall of Fame candidacy, what number of hits would he need to get in addition to the Gold Gloves that he won and the 3 batting titles? He's, you know, no American League catcher's ever won a batting title other than Mauer to be considered a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one to vote on, I think, for the voters. You know, you start looking at 3,000 hits, and it's almost just about a guarantee. But I don't think Mauer is going to be around long enough to reach 3,000. But you mentioned the other things that he's brought to the Minnesota Twins throughout his career, which will certainly be a factor in the voting.
3-0 to Mauer. Sano on deck, and Price would rather not face Sano, one would think, with 2 men on base. So we'll see what he gives Mauer here. Joe almost certainly will take on 3-0. I think I can count on one hand the number of times I've seen Joe swing on 3-0 in his Twins career. 3-1. Up the line, foul. Back toward the on-deck circle. 3-2, and now Dozier will take off early. Having a little conversation with Eduardo Nunez, who's in short right field. Former teammates. Ramirez will play in the vicinity of first base. just missed inside. And Vasquez comes out of the catcher's box because of the shift. Wanted to make sure Dozier didn't round second and go to third. That's something you don't think of, but a catcher's got to be aware that there's nobody on the left side of the infield.
Yeah, and that's all part of spring training fundamentals now, because there is so much shifting going on in baseball. You know, catchers have to be responsible for going to cover third base, you know, when they have that shift on the left-hander, and that's exactly a heads-up play by Vasquez right there.
Now Sano, a couple of two-out walks, and the Twins have a threat here. Fifth plate appearance of the inning, but no ball has been put in play yet. Buxton and Castro went down looking. Dozier and Mauer have walked. And we'll see what Sano can do with a couple of men aboard. Strike over the inside corner. Sano last year hit just under 300 against left-handed pitchers, but again, David Price is not your typical left-handed pitcher. Busted bat and a bouncer to third. To the bag is Devers. That wraps up the inning. Twins strand a couple of runners, and we head to the fourth. It's 3-1 Boston. Last year, the Minnesota Twins won 85 ball games, but incredibly, Tom Caron, they used 36 pitchers. They hope not to use that many this year.
No, I think they'd be very happy using about 2/3 of that number. Obviously, Kyle Gibson done here for the day. He'll be making the second start when the season begins. 16 of those 33 pitchers made a start for the Twins last year. Only 8 of those pitchers still with the organization when spring training began. And only 4 pitchers will be in the rotation when it all begins later this week. Now, they won't stick with a 4-man rotation, barring any weather issues, and we know that's a big if when we go north and begin all this. They won't need a number 5 starter until April 11th, and that works out well. Phil Hughes with a mild oblique strain could be on the DL when it begins. Tyler Kinley, Gabriel Maya, both trying to make the bullpen, so there should be room for all of them at least until you hit that April 11th date. Dick?
Yeah, thank you, Tom. Phil Hughes had an encouraging outing against the Yankees. Yankees came down here. They didn't bring Judge or Stanton or many of the top line players, but Hughes had an encouraging outing and then reported some oblique tightness, soreness the next day. Fernando Rodney, the pitcher for the Twins, and it's 1-1.
It's funny, down in spring training, I mean, you never seem to leave with the team you expected to leave with, and then within 2 weeks of the season, sometimes you look like a totally different ball club.
1-1 to Christian Vasquez. He had a 2-out double in the second and scored the second Boston run. Right on the outside corner, 1-2. Vasquez, Betts, and Martinez here in the Boston fourth. Twins have another roster spot that's up in the air. Paul Molitor suggesting that that situation might be cleared up by the end of play today. Twins have had a little concern about Zach Granite's right shoulder. He injured it making a diving catch in the Yankee game, and we anticipate Granite getting some time out in the field here today, and if he passes that test, maybe has an at bat and the shoulder isn't giving him any trouble, then that might clarify one of the other roster spots. Twins will take a number of extra players up to DC to play an exhibition game against the Nationals on Tuesday, and then we'll have to make some decisions before opening day on Thursday. Down and in, and Vasquez draws a leadoff walk from Rodney.
Top of the order, right fielder
Mookie Betts with a home run and a walk and a run scored.
Now, most of the time, those final games of spring training, if you see starters at all, you only maybe see them for one at bat, and that's it. Trying to make sure nobody gets hurt before opening day.
So we should not anticipate seeing Bryce Harper get 4 or 5 at bats on Tuesday?
I would not bank on it, no. I don't think so.
1-0 now to Betts. It's the second year out of 3 where the Twins have opened in Baltimore the regular season and stopped in DC for some exhibition play, and it's something the Red Sox did last year.
Yeah, we did, and got had some rain for one of the games that was played up in that area last year before heading back to Boston for opening day.
2-0 to Betts and a snap throw to Mauer to keep Vasquez honest. Hit well left center field, and Rosario will watch it and watch it leave. A 2-run home run for Betts, his second home run of the game. And the Red Sox, who hit Kyle Gibson hard, have jumped early on Fernando Rodney.
Yeah, Mookie Betts right now swinging the bat very well. That's an understatement in today's game. 2 home runs. First one was on a breaking ball. This time it's a fastball from Fernando Rodney that he takes out almost in the same area.
J.D. Martinez with a couple of singles, including an RBI single his last time up. Rodney last year got 39 saves for the Diamondbacks.
One more look at the home run by Betts. They want the ball in outside, but it tails back inside. And when that happens to Mookie Betts, that's exactly where he wants to pitch. Does a lot of damage on inside fastballs.
Over for a strike. Imagine that Rodney got 39 saves last year, and he had a, by closer standards, certainly a very high ERA of over 4. Chopped to third. Sano is going to have to show off that arm on the run. A rifle shot across the infield. 1 down. But the Twins were interested because Rodney allowed last year, even with the high ERA, an opponent batting average of just 200.
He's got a great changeup. We haven't seen many of the game so far today, but you know, that fastball to go along with the slider and a fantastic changeup.
Gave up just 3 home runs in 55 and a third inning. So even though did you celebrate your 41st birthday? Well,
no, you stop.
You don't celebrate those anymore, do you?
You stop.
I'm just wondering at what age you stop celebrating birthdays. It's probably about that time.
About 40, yeah.
Anyway, he had his 41st birthday about a week ago, and the Twins saw enough in the peripheral numbers from Rodney to say, you know what, this guy still got it. It's a mid-90s fastball. Rocket to Sano, who makes the play. 2 down. Paralyzing changeup that still seems to baffle hitters at times. 2 down.
That was a changeup right here, and hit very hard. He kind of elevated the changeup that time, left it up in the zone, and Ramirez hits it hard, but Sano right there to make the play. Nice play by Sano down at third base. Reaction. Quick reactions by Sano.
And now Benintendi. And a swing and a miss. Speaking of closers, we expect to see Craig Kimbrell for the Red Sox later on today. And it would be his first action against major league competition here. To the backstop. One and one.
Fernando Rodney is one of those guys that's happy a pitch count didn't come into the game this season.
That one is clobbered to right. Benintendi sends one out and nearly out of the ballpark. Well, Rodney being roughed up with a couple of home runs allowed here. And again, all last year he only gave up 3, but the Red Sox keep swinging it. Now they lead it 6-1.
Now once again, I think that was a changeup. The same type of pitch that the Ramirez hit for a hard line drive for an out. I believe he tries it again here against Benintendi and again elevates it. Take one more look. They want the ball outside, and Benintendi, he didn't hit his spot, that's for sure, did Rodney, and Benintendi hit his spot, which is way out there in right field. About 5 rows up in the bleacher section.
Bogaerts will bat with 3 runs in and 2 outs, and the pitch outside ball 1. Fastball missing down and away, and it's 2-0. That fastball clocked at 95. Nineteenth pitch of the inning for Rodney. And now cranking up another 95-mile-per-hour fastball, but high, and it's 3-0. We don't have a number 97 on our roster. And now a strike called. Bogaerts 1 for 2. 9 hits for the Red Sox. 3 home runs. And there's ball 4. The Twins might come out and get Rodney here. It'll be Garvin Alston who will come to the mound here and maybe give Rodney one more batter. Garvin Alston is a new pitching coach for the Twins, but he's coming from outside of the organization. Now both teams, both Boston and Minnesota, have new pitching coaches, but in the Red Sox case, they promoted internally the bullpen coach to the pitching coach position.
Yeah. Dana Lavangi, a guy that has worked in the organization for a long time and has had many jobs in the organization, a bullpen coach over the last number of years under John Farrell, and he was the only remaining coach from Farrell's staff and got promoted, as you mentioned, Dick, to the Red Sox pitching coach.
And the batter's Mitch Moreland, and one would think this will be Rodney's last batter. Chopped foul. Garvin Alston, the new Twins pitching coach, had an interesting year last year. He started with the Padre organization as their pitching rehab coordinator, and then the Oakland A's fired Kurt Young as their pitching coach and shuffled the coaches around, and then hired Garvin Alston out of the Padre organization mid-season to be their bullpen coach. It's odd that you see a coach leave one organization for another, and in Alston's case it was a promotion to be in the bullpen for the A's at the end of the year, and then the Twins hired him in the offseason as their pitching coach. Pretty impressive resume right there. 1-1 to Moreland. Swing and a miss, 1-2. very high. And Rodney just winging it right now, clocked at 96 miles per hour.
He just wants this inning over right now. He's thrown more pitches than he expected to.
His history has been one of, less than tidy innings. And now it's 3-2, and if he wants to complete the inning, he's probably going to have to throw a strike here and get Moreland out. Sometimes control throughout his career has been an issue for him, and now a couple of walks in the inning and a couple of home runs and a 3-2 count now to Mitch Moreland. Got him with the changeup. So the Red Sox hit a couple of home runs in the inning, add 3 more runs, and now lead it 6-1. Sunscreen and fans, anything you can use to stay cool on a very muggy day here in Fort Myers. David Price is done on the game mound, and the new Boston pitcher will be Bobby Pointer, yet another left-hander.
Yeah, this is an interesting story for the Red Sox. A guy that again was not expected to probably be on the pitching staff, but has pitched himself into a position to be a left-hander out of the bullpen. Robbie Scott was sent to the minor leagues just a couple of days ago. Everybody thought that he would be the guy, but Pointer's had a fabulous spring for the Red Sox, and a good outing here may secure a spot for him.
It'll be Rosario, Escobar, and Morrison. And Rosario went down swinging against David Price to wrap up the first inning. Popped up near the Twins dugout. Devers has it on the warning track. Rosario gone on one pitch. And down in the bullpen, getting more work in, is David Price.
Yeah, I kind of expected that today. That's what Alex Cora said that they were going to do with Price. Let him pitch 3 innings and 3 or 4 possible innings and go down and finish his work down in the bullpen, and that's what he's doing right now. So get him off the mound before something happens like happened to Chris Sale yesterday.
Red Sox very fortunate because that. I think Chris said afterwards it looked worse than it was.
It really did. You know, it was hard to tell on our cameras and our replays, just exactly where he got hit. And originally it looked like, it hit somewhere up around the hip, but then we saw him grab his knee. And we said, oh, man, maybe he hurt that as he twisted and went down on the ground. But then he said he felt the shooting pain go down in that area, but he was hit on the hip and was fine this morning, which is great news if you're a Red Sox fan.
Scary moment certainly for them, and Sale expected to be the opening night starter for the Red Sox, and for the Royals. Now Danny Duffy had to leave the ball game yesterday with a tight left shoulder, and he's supposed to be Kansas City's opening day starter. You get this late in camp, and you just want to get the season started and get into some kind of a rhythm, and then you get these things that pop up late. Escobar with a fly to left. 2 away. And that'll bring up Logan Morrison.
Designated hitter, Logan
Morrison with a fly to right field, his first time up. And Morrison certainly a power hitter, and sometimes it takes those guys a little bit longer to get into a groove at the plate. And even though the home runs don't count down here, or for that matter Tuesday's game at Nationals Park, I think Morrison would like to touch one off here and just kind of get that feel back, that power feel back.
That's exactly what they love to do, right? Hit home runs. Batting practice, game.
Big swing and a miss.
The type of guy that'll hit his share of home runs. Probably a very high number for the Twins, but will also strike out a lot, which has become a trend in baseball.
I was going to say that phrase has changed meaning a lot.
It has. Yeah.
1-1. Swing and a miss, 1 and 2. Years ago, when I started my broadcasting career with the Twins, I worked with Harmon Killebrew, and Harmon, one of the great sluggers of his era, said, you know, it was a stigma attached to striking out 100 times in a season. Now, there are going to be hitters that have 100 strikeouts, you know, by Memorial Day almost.
Right, exactly.
Up and in to Morrison. I looked it up. One of the more remarkable, there's Harmon's number, retired in Twins history. One of the more remarkable seasons ever, put together in 1950 by Yogi Berra. He drove in 124 runs and struck out 12 times.
Now, Yogi wasn't up there to take a lot of pitches.
We're not talking about somebody with a refined strike zone.
Right, right. He's swinging at anything he can reach.
3-2 to Morrison, trying to keep the inning alive here for Kepler. That's to left center and hit a long way. Chased by Benintendi, retreating and not making the catch. And the ball bouncing off the warning track and over the wall. Looked like Benintendi got there, and all the while looking right up into the sun, and then it looked like he put the glove out, but the ball didn't find the glove.
Yeah, and this is something different for Benintendi. He hasn't played a lot of center field here in spring training, mostly left field, and this time it looked like he had a shot at this. It's, you know, to the opposite field with power, obviously, but right there he puts the glove, and I think he might have lost it in the sun. It looked like at the last second he couldn't see it. You can see him look up right now, point to the glasses. He couldn't see it.
And now Kepler in another lefty-lefty matchup. Kepler went down swinging his first time up. Takes a fastball down the middle of strike. Earlier we were talking about Kepler and the suggestion to Kepler from, among others, Justin Morneau, basically do what Logan Morrison just did. Lefty-lefty, take a fastball and try to hit it up the middle. Put the barrel on it, and some good things might happen. There's a liner to left, and Kepler with solid contact for the third out. On to the fifth. Red Sox up by 5. Have pounded out 10 hits, 3 home runs. They lead it 6-1. As we go to the 5th inning, it'll be left-hander Zach Duke coming on to pitch for the Twins. Last year at this time, the Twins had in camp the guy that started the year with the Twins, a guy who was trying to throw like Zach Duke has thrown, and that's Craig Breslow, who tried to drop his arm angle down a little bit. Well, Duke's done that for several years and has had the success doing what Breslow struggled with. And so the Twins have him as a left-handed setup guy because he kind of slings it up there from a low 3/4.
Yeah, totally different angle that the hitters have to look at when you have a guy like Duke on the mound. It's almost as a right-handed hitter, you got to look out towards second base, the second baseman.
Bouncer to third, foul. How did you pick up the release point of a pitcher when there was a pitcher that had an unorthodox delivery?
Usually with 1 foot in the bucket. and then trying to make some kind of contact.
So again, like Dan Quisenberry, somebody like that, who you would have.
Quisenberry, I had good luck against. Being a left-handed hitter, he had that sinker ball that used to run down and away from me, and so for some reason I had good success against Quisenberry.
Hit to left, and Rosario retreats, and on the edge of the track puts it away, 1 down. The reason I ask is, you know, I've talked with Rod Carew quite a bit over the years, and he was as good as it got, right? I mean, he always had just tremendous. And I said, now, you know, when you faced pitchers, where did you look to try to pick up the release point? He said he looked at the emblem of the cap and then found where the release point was in relation to the emblem of the cap, and he just locked in, focused on that area to try to pick up, you know, the point of release.
Yeah, Rod Carew, I mean, that was, you know, I'll tell you a quick story about how we used to try to defend him. And when we go over in a meeting how to pitch Carew, we would just pass on him. we would absolutely pass on Carew and say, just hope that he hits the ball at somebody, because there was no way to pitch him.
2 strikes to Devers. Vasquez will hit next. Pulled on the ground to Mauer. He'll scamper to the bag. And Zach Duke has a couple of quick outs here in the 5th.
I remember reading one thing about Carew, too, and he said that he would always try to pick out the weakest infielder to try to hit ground balls in his direction. I always wondered why when he played against me. I had a lot of stuff going to my right or left. But I remember reading that in a column about Carew.
Vasquez with a good day at the plate, a double and a run scored in the 2nd and a stolen base, and then a leadoff walk in the 4th against Rodney, and he came in on Mookie Betts' 2nd home run. And I guess the Boston complement to that would have been Wade Boggs, right?
Oh, Boggs was remarkable, you know, but Fenway was built the way Boggs, because he was strong enough to take it off the left field wall anytime he wanted to and spray the ball all over the ballpark.
Lifted foul, and it's 0-2. Duke has come in here in the 5th inning, throwing strikes, gotten ahead of hitters, and consequently, and not coincidentally, he's gotten a couple of quick outs, and he's got Vasquez behind in the count 0-2. That might have been by design. He got Vasquez to back away on an 0-2 pitch. Red Sox again play the Cubs tomorrow night and Tuesday afternoon. Then they go to St. Petersburg to open up against the Rays. Breaking ball, drilled, foul. From up here, that looked fair.
Yeah, looked very close from our angle.
It won't be challenged, but it looked to me like this ball was just barely fair. Nope, just barely foul.
Just barely foul. No chalk coming up at all.
1-2 to Vasquez. Vasquez gets time. Twins invested first in their bullpen, signing Addison Reed, Fernando Rodney, Zach Duke. That was in the conventional free agent signing period. That's to left, and Rosario comes in to put it away, fighting the sun a little bit. And Zach Duke has a clean 5th inning. They've hit 3 home runs here today, out hitting the Twins, as you see, 10-2. And Red Sox fans are very happy to see Craig Kimbrell on the mound.
See the numbers last year. Look at the strikeouts. 126 strikeouts in 69 innings for Kimbrell. I mean, he was absolutely lights out with that high fastball and that big sweeping breaking ball, which is also hard. Nothing really off speed from Kimbrell.
Kimbrell missing a good deal of camp because of a serious health issue with his infant daughter.
Yes.
And this is his first appearance against a major league lineup.
While he was back in Boston, he continued his throwing program as he went back across to care for his daughter and continued that throwing program. Came back through in a couple of minor league situations and now back in the big league field. So he's going to be ready to go.
Brock Holt is now in right field. Spent most of his time this spring in the infield, but getting a chance to get some innings in right field. Buxton, Castro, and Dozier lined up to face Kimbrell. Fastball at the knees, opening up the outing with 95 miles per hour.
That was just to get me over fastball for Kimbrell.
There's more in there, isn't there?
Yes, plenty in the tank.
Hard to center, a sinking line drive, but hit so hard it carries out to Benintendi, a line out on a 96 mile per hour fastball.
Catcher, Jason Castro.
Buxton gone on 2 pitches, and now Jason Castro. The Twins pitched better last year than the year before. There's still room for improvement, obviously. But Castro deserves a lot of credit for the improved pitching. We talked about the 36 different pitchers used. Can't be easy to catch that many different guys. Castro had arguably his second best year in the big leagues in his first year with the Twins. Helped control the running game a lot better. And then, of course, had the awkward feeling he must have had watching his former team, the Astros, win the World Series. Foul back. On the one hand, you've got to be really happy, proud of your teammates, but somewhere inside. There must be pangs of regret.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That's how ball players feel. I mean, they love the opportunity to come over, get a regular job, and be confident they're going to play every day. But yet not that far removed from what happened with the Houston Astros.
2 strikes to Castro. And Castro flares it. Not much slice on that. It's about 3 feet foul. Saw the Twins bullpen. I believe that's Addison Reed who's going to be pitching next for the Twins. Want to get as many of the frontline players in. Both teams do, more so the Twins, because tomorrow for them is an off day.
Yeah.
Red Sox have a game tomorrow, and whoever doesn't get used today can get if you're a pitcher, a tune-up inning tomorrow perhaps. Missing inside, 1-2.
Yeah, this is the type of game where you'd see the starters go a little bit longer than they normally would. Of course, with the Twins heading up to Washington, and their appearances in Washington will be very brief.
Guessing inside again, 2-2.
So right, all fastballs at this point for Kimbrel, and not seeing a breaking ball yet.
Eighth pitch of the outing for Kimbrel. This one to short left. Rushing in is J.D. Martinez. He makes the catch. 2 away.
There's the first breaking ball from Kimbrel, and he gets an out on it, and a little fly ball out to left field.
And that'll bring up Brian Dozier. Dozier with a game-tying home run leading off the first, then a walk in the third. How do you look at the American League East?
I look at it as Boston and New York. You know, I can't pick one or the other for the top, but I certainly think that those are the 2 teams that are going to be fighting it out all season. And we saw Baltimore the other day. They have improved their pitching staff a little bit. They got Cobb to go into that rotation, which should help them. Tampa Bay, we know, is giving up a lot of players and should be a struggle for them. And Toronto's got very good pitching. Some questions about their offense. So I figure the Red Sox last year won 93 games without David Price and without J.D. Martinez. So you would kind of think they'd be around that same number, if not a little bit higher this year. And we all know what the Yankees did late in the season last year in the postseason.
Almost got back to the World Series, and then, of course, they acquired Giancarlo Stanton. Neil Walker, kind of an under-the-radar pickup by them. He's a really good player, and he might help them. But I'm trying to imagine the American League East. It's perceived as being a little top-heavy with the Yankees and the Red Sox, and then if Toronto contends, that'd be a bit of a surprise. So too Baltimore and the Rays, and maybe a parallel in the American League Central, where it's perceived to be Cleveland and Minnesota.
Right.
And then you've got Detroit, Kansas City, and Chicago in various stages of a rebuild. 2-1. And Dozier to short center, and that's going to die for a base hit. But Dozier's reached all 3 times. A 2-out single here against Kimbrel, and that'll get Mauer to the plate.
He's had a very nice day. The home run to start the ball game off the walk, and now gets a bloop single off the end of the bat on the breaking ball right there from Kimbrel, and takes it into center field for the base hit. So a nice day for the leadoff hitter for the Twins this afternoon.
Mauer 0 for 1 with a walk. The wild card division, no pun intended, to me is the American League West, because you've got Houston, who should win 100 or more games again this year.
You would expect that.
And then, where do you place the rest of the teams? how good is Texas going to be? What about Seattle? You know, some good players but so many injuries in the spring, and I don't know how to read the rest of the division.
How about the Angels? They're a big question. You know, they've made some additions to that ball club right up there, and we'll see what kind of team they bring to the table this season.
Biggest acquisition has had maybe the most disappointing spring. Dozier takes off, and Mauer swings away. It's down by 5 runs, but Dozier took off anyway.
Yeah, Dozier knows that Kimbrel's paying absolutely no attention to the runner at first base, and it does take Kimbrel a long time to get rid of the baseball, so if they're going to give it to you stolen base, you might as well take it. Little chance of being thrown out.
Shohei Ohtani has had such a disappointing spring for them, both at the plate and on the mound, and yet he's, I guess, going to make the team and be their 3rd starter out of the rotation. But he did not have a good experience at all in his first training camp. Dozier doesn't take off, and Mauer drives it to left. J.D. Martinez makes the catch. Well, the Twins made some decent contact in the 5th inning against Kimbrel, but he got his innings worth of work. We head to the 6th. Go to the 6th inning. Some important innings, one would think, coming up, Tom, for both Zach Granite and Ryan Lamar.
And no doubt, it's a great point. Starters come out of the game, but these final days of spring training are all about finishing your 25-man roster. Paul Molitor, Twins manager, hopes to make that announcement sometime later today after the game. And Ryan Lamar, who's coming out in right field now, wasn't really on the radar for many people coming into spring training, a non-roster invitee who's been a very good defensive player, was one of the top defenders in the Cincinnati minor league system for a long time. But this spring, he's gotten notice for his bat. He's hitting .486 and has been one of the best hitters for the Twins. Still tough for him to make the roster, but Zach Granite, who's now in center field, bruised his shoulder a little bit the other day making a catch, so they want to make sure he's healthy. We'll see if there's a spot in that outfield for Lamar, but I'll tell you what, you hit like that, you'll eventually find your way onto a lineup.
Well, thank you, Tom. Yeah, both players fighting for one spot. And during batting practice, I went over to the back fields where the reserve players were taking batting practice, and they're sitting next to one another in the dugout were Zach Granite and Ryan Lamar. And I said hello to them both. There's a ball hit to the gap in left center, and Rosario makes the catch one away. And then my parting words to them, well, what do you typically say at a point like this? Good luck to both of you, right? Realizing full well that good luck to one is almost necessarily going to be bad luck for the other.
Yeah, tough day, and you can see Lamar out there checking his card for the hitters that come up to see about positioning, where he wants to position himself against certain hitters.
One down with Brock Holt hitting in what was Mookie Betts' spot. Addison Reed on the mound for the Twins, and J.D. Martinez takes outside a ball.
Addison Reed last year spending time with the Red Sox. Became a very important member out of the bullpen for Boston last season.
And a liner to Escobar at short, 2 down. The Twins signed Fernando Rodney first and then signed Addison Reed. When they signed Rodney, they said, you're our closer. And when they signed Reed, they said, Rodney is our closer. But let's keep in mind that Fernando Rodney is 41 years old. You'd like to think that over the course of the season, there are going to be times when the Twins might have 3 or 4 save opportunities in a row. Be probably unfair to Rodney to expect him to try to save 4 games in 4 days. So they've got a co-closer, if you will, even though Rodney will get the majority of the save opportunities.
Yeah, a guy that's not going to be intimidated being out there in that situation.
2 quick outs and strike 1 to Ramirez, and now this one popped up and it'll reach the seats 0-2. Regarding Granite and Lamar, Granite made a great diving catch out here and did something to his right shoulder. He is a left-handed thrower, so there is some glimmer of encouragement there, I guess. It's not his throwing shoulder, but it was impeding his swing in the batting cage, and so the Twins want the final innings here in an at-bat or 2 and want to see Granite run around in the outfield and make sure that he's okay before making a decision as to whether he'll make the team going north or whether it will be Ryan Lamar. Granite is a left-handed batter. Lamar is a right-handed batter. The Twins have a lot of left-handed outfield players already with Rosario and Kepler. Robbie Grossman's a switch hitter. So it'll be interesting to see what the Twins decide in terms of one or the other coming north with the team. Kind of hard to ignore somebody driving in, 16 runs and hitting 480.
That's why he's still here.
2 strikes to Hanley Ramirez. On the outside corner. Very clean inning for Addison Reed. A couple of quick outs. Shaving the outside corner to Ramirez for a called strike 3.
The beef has
many kids here for this Palm Sunday ball game here, and so many of them have to go back to either New England or Minnesota to get back to school, trying to catch some rays here. Matt Barnes will pitch next for the Red Sox.
Now Barnes doing most of his work, all of his work actually last year out of the bullpen. 70 games for Barnes. 83 strikeouts and 69 and 2/3 innings. Held opponents to a .224 batting average.
He'll face the middle of the Twins lineup, 3, 4, and 5 batters anyway. Sano, Rosario, and Escobar. Sano 0 for 2. He's put the ball in play twice, hoping to cut down on his strikeouts, draw more walks. And the Twins hope that this is the year that he'll be able to get 500 at-bats. He's never had so much as 450 at-bats in a season because of health reasons. The Twins had the one-game wild card playoff game with the Yankees last year. They had to play that game without their most productive offensive player in terms of run production. And then a couple innings into the game, they lost Byron Buxton, who had a concussion after crashing into the fence. And while the Twins lost the ball game 7-4, I believe was the final score. There's a breaking ball in the outside corner. You'd like to go into the playoffs, wouldn't you, with your two arguably your two best offensive players?
It makes it awfully difficult to go in and play a one-game playoff where you don't have your best team on the field.
1-1 to Sano. Little bit low, 2-1. Sano had a stress reaction, which is, I think, a euphemism for a stress fracture. They ended up putting a rod in his left shin to stabilize the area. He's had a much better spring than he had last year when he hit just 200. Very high and in. Off speed pitch, 3-1. Has a protective pad covering that area. Cracked his bat again. Reached across the plate, hit it right off the end, and it's 3-2. Got to get another stick. Broke his bat in his third inning at bat, grounding out to Devers at third base.
Another case there where Sano, his count's in his favor, and he gets a pitch away, which is really not his pitch, to be able to drive, and tried to hook it and ended up cracking the bat.
This a fair ball. And a stretch at the other end. And Devers retires Sano. Nice play, one down.
Yeah, it doesn't look like much, but that's something that the Red Sox dug out and be very happy about, because that's one of the things they've been working on with Devers so far this spring a lot. Getting him to play deeper so that'll help his backhanded play. And right there, he makes a very nice backhanded play with a good strong throw to first base. So that's one where the coaching staff can pat each other on the back for getting the job done.
Rosario to the plate. Sam Travis is the new first baseman for Boston. And Rosario takes a strike. Now the shortstop Bogart swings over to the right side of the infield. Williams Ramirez is warming up in the Twins bullpen. He might get the bottom or the top of the seventh inning. A mile in the air and only about 40 feet in front of home plate. Caught by Travers, 2 down. And that'll bring up Eduardo Escobar. Escobar 0 for 2. He's hit the ball in the air twice. Pop up to second, the fly to left. Red Sox winners of the Chairman's Cup.
No contest this year, really.
No.
Not the excitement here at the end of the spring training we normally see.
Twins had a game against the Red Sox, washed out. They scored 9 runs in the first inning, and then the rain came. So Twins fans can be comforted that that game didn't count. Twins probably would have won that game. Have you ever seen the Chairman's Cup?
I saw it when it used to be the Mayor's Cup.
Yes.
Yeah, I have not seen I don't know if they got a new one now, but I have not seen that.
I saw it once. Terry Francona brought it over just to rub it into Ron Gardenhire that they had won it the year before, and it looked like it had been dragged behind the team bus from JetBlue over here. So
tremendous meaning to that.
Yes. 1 and 2 to Escobar.
I remember the times when remember the replacement players?
Oh yes.
Well, they still played for the Mayor's Cup at that particular time, and Minnesota won.
And that's actually acknowledged somehow in the history of the...
I don't know. That's got an asterisk next to it.
Escobar strikes out and we head to the 7th. 6-1 Boston leading, and we're heading to the 7th inning. And Williams Ramirez will assume his spot on a mound he's familiar with. He pitched for Fort Myers last year, pitched in this ballpark on this mound, and he'll get an inning's worth of work here in the 7th inning, facing the middle of the Boston lineup, starting with Andrew Benintendi. Ramirez from the Dominican Republic. Missing down and in ball 1. One thing that the Twins like about him, he's got a big power arm. Mitch Garver doing the catching here in the 7th inning. Throws in the mid-90s. He's pitched over 270 innings in the minor leagues and given up just 3 home runs. In this day and age, when it seems like everybody can hit home runs, this is a pitcher that, at least in the minor leagues, hasn't given many up. 2-0 to Benintendi. He hit a home run his last time up.
Now the home run from Benintendi coming back in the 4th inning, and he pulled this one. This was a no-doubter from contact. Way up in the bleacher area. Red Sox, which showing some home run pop in the bats today.
This one hit to right. Lamar is there to make the catch, 1 away. What happened last year? Why did the Red Sox not hit for power when it looked like they had a bunch of emerging hitters the year before?
Yeah, it was interesting. You know, they had a lot of guys. Well, obviously, everybody was trying to take David Ortiz's place, and that's just not going to happen. You know, it wasn't going to happen. So you're missing 30-plus home runs in that situation. There were other guys whose numbers were down. Hanley Ramirez's numbers were down. Mookie Betts actually was down last year. Bogarts was down a little bit last year. He played most of the year with a bad hand. Because we talked about earlier, they could get off to a great start, but then he had that hand injury, and he was not the same hitter after that. But I think, I think some of these young players on the Red Sox, guys like Bogaerts, guys like Betts, guys like Benintendi, they're still growing up at the big league level. And I think they all are going to put up respectable power numbers as they get, some experience at the major league level, which they've gotten over the last few years.
1 strike to Bogaerts. And great catch at third by Sano.
Ooh.
A liner headed to left field, but it never got there.
Showing some quick action down at third base is Sano on that one. That ball looked like it was ticketed for left field, but watch right here, the crossover step, the dive, and the nice play by Sano. So showing very good reactions down there at third base.
He's heard an awful lot about his weight, the weight that he added over the course of the year last year, the weight he reported to this year. He's a remarkably agile player. He's right now, I'm guessing, like 280, 285, which is huge for a third baseman. But we've seen the arm, and we've seen agility at third base that is uncommon for someone that size.
Well, the first time I saw him, he was in the outfield, in right field. And then, of course, they moved him to third base.
Yeah, he was signed as a shortstop, and then they put him at third base, and the Twins tried to make room for Trevor Plouffe at third base, and they wanted Sano's bat in the lineup, so they put him to right field, and that was just a disaster. That Sano didn't embrace it. He wasn't good at it, and so they moved him back to the infield. Here you can see the pull shift on for Moreland. Right before Sano went down last year with the shin injury. Pulled to the right side, and we won't. Bauer drops it, recovers, and finds the pitcher Ramirez on the bag. So a clean inning for Williams Ramirez, and a 1-2-3 top of the 7th. Control of things here, 6-1. Twins mascot TC working the crowd after God Bless America here at the ballpark. We'll have a little extra time as we get ready for Take Me Out to the Ball Game now with Tom Caron and Jerry Remy of the New England Sports Network, Dick Bramer from Fox Sports North. We're coming to Boston again for 4 games. I talked about this, I think, when I did a prior telecast. Seems like every year the Twins come to Boston for 4 games, which is fine. I love coming to Boston, but it's at the end of July this year. We'll be there for a weekend series, and then the Red Sox prior to that have a 3-game series in the middle of June at Target Field.
Yeah, we go out to we start in Baltimore, go to the West Coast before against Seattle, and stop in Minnesota on the way back.
Okay.
Yep.
We'll try to warm it up for you by then.
Yeah.
See if the ice are off the lakes and all that kind of stuff. Logan Morrison will hit, and we've got a new Boston pitcher. Twins getting a run in their first at bat. Brian Dozier hitting a home run to tie the game at 1. Jimenez is the new Boston pitcher, and he'll face Morrison and Lamar and then Granite. Morrison on the day, a double just out of the reach of Benintendi in center field.
Jimenez, one of those non-roster guys, called up to make an appearance today against the Twins. Red Sox have used their 3 main pitchers in this game that they wanted to: David Price, Kimbrel, and Barnes last inning, and now we may see some names that are not on the 40-man roster.
And Morrison lifts it foul over the Twins dugout, 1 strike. Twins are a little light when it comes to left-handed pitching on their 40-man roster. No left-handed starter will be with the team going north. And it sure looks like the Red Sox have plenty of left-handers.
A lot of left-handers. That starting rotation in particular.
And in the bullpen, and guys maybe up and coming like Jimenez. 1-1 to Morrison. Foul back.
He had a good rip at that ball, breaking ball that time, and I think that's one that Morrison would like to have back right now. Had a good swing at it, but fouled it straight back. A little bit of a hanger.
Did you find as a left-handed batter that if you were trying to find your swing and you had some good at-bats against a lefty, that really kind of built your confidence up at all?
Yes and no. I'll give you a reason for that once we get this out at first base, which appears to be an out. Brock Holt moving, looks like, the second base.
Yep.
And you know what I did against lefties? When I first get to the big leagues, they told me, take lefties to the opposite field, take lefties to the opposite field, and I didn't have any success doing that at all, and I was an opposite field hitter.
Right.
So as I grew at the big league level, I started to look inside against lefties and kind of cheat a little bit, open up a little bit quicker, and I was amazed at how many pitches that I got on the inside part of the plate that were hittable pitches that I used to try to take to the opposite field. I ended up pulling more. It's not the correct way to do it, but it seemed to work for me.
Right.
And the older I got at the big league level, the more I was able to hit left-handed pitches because of that. And it's funny because the breaking balls that I would be swinging at to try to take to the opposite field, when I opened up a little bit, you could clearly see right out of the pitcher's hand they were not going to be strikes, and you take them. So it wasn't the conventional way of doing things.
3-0 to Lamar.
And there was always the possibility of a drag bunt, too, when I faced a lefty.
So you were told the same thing back in the day that Justin Mornos told Max Kepler, with a lefty, hit the ball up the middle or go to the opposite field. It's just that wasn't what worked for you.
It just didn't work for me.
Lamar with a little pop-up, one of the few times he hasn't hit the ball hard this spring, and staggering under the sun, Travis makes the play 2 down, and that'll bring up Zach Granite.
Center fielder, Zach Granite.
What the Twins would like to see from Granite in this at-bat, maybe another one that might be coming later in the game, the ability to swing freely. Again, he made a great catch here the other day against the Yankees, but sprained his right shoulder. It's not his throwing shoulder, but his injured right shoulder kept him from swinging freely in batting practice the next day. James Rowson, the hitting coach for the Twins, did such a good job last year. There's a ball lifted into short left. And Granite is out on a pop-up. And Jimenez has a 1-2-3-7.
Liberty Mutual stood with me when
putting in a lot of players into the field here. Some substitute players around the infield. We'll try to keep you up to date as to who they are. Williams Ramirez being given a second inning of work here, which is impressive because the first inning went very quickly. And he will face De Jesus leading things off here in the 8th inning. Again, the timeline for these two teams a little different. This is, I guess, technically the last Grapefruit League game that they will play. The Red Sox will host the Cubs. You can't really call that a Grapefruit League play because they're out of the Cactus League.
What is that, like interleague play in spring training or something?
Yeah. And the Twins will leave tomorrow for Washington, D.C., play a game Tuesday against the Nationals, and then take a bus up to Baltimore. Ivan De Jesus Jr. in the box, and Ramirez starts him with strike one. Breaking ball missing inside. And a strike on the outside corner.
Oh, the top curveball that time on the outside part of the plate to put De Jesus in the hole.
And now down and away, in fact, in the dirt. Devers will hit next. Down low, 3-2. That fastball at 95. Twins will be involved in 3 home openers. The one in Baltimore on Thursday, then the Pirate home opener a week from tomorrow, and then their own, which will be at Target Field on April 5th.
So it's not exactly like the Twins are opening up in warm weather climates.
No. made the comment the other day in one of the telecasts. You look at in Major League Baseball, the dome stadiums that are in existence, right? And it's almost like in the shape of a U in terms of the United States. They have them in the West, in Toronto and places south. But where would you think you'd need them the most in March and April?
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
upper Midwest. And you've got 10 teams in the 2 central divisions, and only one of them's got a dome stadium, Milwaukee. 1 down. Here's Devers, 0 for 3 on the day. A strikeout, a foul out, and a ground ball to Mauer at first.
He's shown a good curveball since being in this game. So he's not bashful throwing it.
There's a reason that guys like Ramirez get an opportunity like this. Twins have their minor league complex just across the parking lot here. Here's a pop-up. And catch is made.
Pitch hitting for Vasquez, number 23, Blake Swihart.
2 down. That'll bring up Swihart. But there's something about Williams Ramirez that the Twins want to take a look at in a little bit bigger situation.
And any impression you can make in spring training too goes a long way during the regular season. You know, you guys mentioned how many pitches you had to use last year, and if you can make an impact out here, you're on the radar screen when they need somebody during the regular season.
Twins are trying to figure out a way to keep Tyler Kinley, a Rule 5 pickup, and they've thrown him out in game situations obviously here in the spring to see what they've got with him. But Rule 5s are tough commodities to maintain if you're a contending ball club. I don't know where the Orioles are now, but they in camp had 3 Rule 5 pitchers, relief pitchers. Well, not all 3 of them are going to make it, of course, but you make the investment, you bring the players in, and you try to run them out in situations like this and see if there's something that might be sustainable through a season. Hey, we had Johan Santana come by
right
here. He was a former Rule 5 pick. Fouled at the plate. 1-2.
Swihart's had an excellent spring for the Red Sox. He's played a lot of different positions, kind of a utility role for him. He swung the bat very well this spring. He's played some third base, some left field, catch.
Breaking ball on the outside corner. Might have been his best breaking ball of several good ones. And 1-2-3 innings for Williams Ramirez. Red Sox in control of things, 6-1. They've hit 3 home runs. The Twins have hit 1. And the Twins will send up Mitch Garver, who took over catching duties a couple innings ago. And he'll hit leading off the 8th inning. Then with Swihart staying in the game behind the plate, Garver will be the backup catcher for the Twins unless something really unfortunate happens here in the next 48 hours. One and 0. Off the plate, 1-1. On the outside corner. Twins haven't done much offensively. That's been kind of a trouble spot for them, scoring runs the final week of Grapefruit League play. Not an issue, however, for the Red Sox. There's a called strike, and it's 2-2.
It's amazing watching these minor league pitchers that come into games, how quickly they work. They're used to that pitch clock down at the minor league level.
You think that's not a coincidence?
And I think they got trained to get rid of that ball quickly.
Swinging bunt, and it'll trickle foul, hitting the edge of the grass. My son is a minor league broadcaster, and he said the entire season last year he didn't see one violation.
Not one violation.
Not one, because pitchers get used to the idea. Okay,
Right.
I've got it. Let's go. Right? Isn't that what the game needs? If you want to pick up the pace of play, once people adapt to it.
And I don't think it'll take that long to adapt to. I really don't. You know, I that's one of the rules that I had hoped that they would put in this year, but
Right.
looks like probably next year they'll do something with the pitch clock.
2-2.
Hitters will adapt to it. Pitchers will adapt to it.
And now down in the dirt, 3-2. I think we talked about this in the other shared broadcast we have, but the average time between pitches has grown from 20 seconds to 23 seconds in 10 years. Now you say, well, that's just 3 seconds, but then you multiply that times 300 pitches in a game, and you've got 15 minutes right there. Fly to right. Garver retired, one away.
Mound visit should help. That should help a little bit with pace of play.
Now, how have Leon and Vasquez been in terms of making trips to the mound? Because the Twins guy Castro was maybe one of the best at not doing that.
Yeah, Sandy Leon likes to make a lot of trips to the mound. You know, he can make 6 in the first inning. So they've really been concentrating on him not going out there during spring training, you know, and because he likes to make a lot of trips out to the mound.
It was Jason Castro's contention when I asked him about it the other day that for the Twins, it'll be more of a factor for people like Miguel Sano who like to come, the infielders. That's a mound visit, even though it's not from the catcher or a pitching coach. And Jason just thought it probably will be more of a change for the infielders who want to come to the mound rather than the catchers.
Yeah, and I
bouncer to third. Adrianza is retired, 2 down.
I always question why infielders would want to go to the mound. I mean, I understand that they have to know the signs. I get that, and they want to know if there's a change in signs so they can position themselves. But the fact is, you know, what are you going to tell a pitcher? I mean, you used to go out there once in a while and say, okay, give me a ground ball, we'll get a double play and get out. I mean, well, you know, what am I going to do? I didn't know anything about pitching, you know.
It's a great story. It might be apocryphal, but it's still a great story. Back in the day for the Cardinals, Tim McCarver went to the mound presumably to talk to Bob
Right.
Gibson, and Gibson said, get back behind the plate. The only thing you know about pitching is you can't hit it. 1-1 to Gregorio Petit. Brought in for some insurance in the Twins organization. Twins signed a lot of guys like that have some major league experience, and in the event, well, let's say in the inevitability that people are going to get hurt, you have people on call in Rochester, New York who might be able to step in without too much of an adjustment. Petit strikes out quickly. It's another 1-2-3 inning for the Red Sox pitchers.
It's back.
6-1. Ryan Harper is the new Twins pitcher. And he'll pitch here in the top of the 9th inning. And J.D. Martinez will get an at-bat this inning. Brock Holt will lead things off. Twins and Red Sox wrapping up the Grapefruit League play with both season openers coming up on the road on Thursday. The Twins will be in Baltimore and the Red Sox will be up in St. Petersburg. Holt with a fly ball to left his first time up. Up and in, ball 1. Ryan Harper is in his 8th year of professional baseball. Signed as a minor league free agent a couple of months ago. And a fastball for a strike. Coming out of the Seattle organization. Pitched last year, most of the year, for Seattle's AAA team in Tacoma. Breaking ball on the outside corner. Originally in the Braves organization. Out of Austin Peay. Another breaking ball over for a strike. So Twins got to see a pretty good breaking ball from Williams Ramirez, and now Harper comes in and drops a couple of nice curves.
Yeah, Red Sox have seen plenty of these over the last few innings, and that's one you just kind of admire. You think it's going to be high out of the strike zone, and it ends up about knee high.
J.D. Martinez will hit. Martinez with hits his first 2 times up. Got a line drive to the shortstop Escobar his last time up. One and 0. Sharply hit. And Martinez getting the same type of hit he got back in the first inning. Hit so hard, even the shifted infield couldn't make a play on it.
Yeah, JD today pulling the ball against the shift. That little top spin line drive that quickly gets through the infield that time to pick up his 3rd of the day, and his final as he has pinch run forward at first base. So Martinez moved up to the 2 spot today, got himself 5 at bats in the game.
Sam Travis, the hitter. Breaking ball off the plate. One and 0 to Travis. And there's a breaking ball over for a strike. Check swing and a foul. And it's 1-2. Hanley Ramirez went 1 for 4 today with a couple of strikeouts, drove in a run with a single. Travis leading the team with 6 home runs. Breaking ball, and Travis goes down swinging, 2 down. That'll bring up another second generation professional ball player, Jeremy Barfield.
Once again, the breaking ball, and that has been the out pitch for the Minnesota Twins over the last 3 or 4 innings.
Earlier we saw Ivan De Jesus Jr. and Jesse's son Jeremy standing in the box now for Boston. Fly ball left field. And another good inning for a relief pitcher for the Twins, but the Twins go to the bottom of the ninth, down by 5.
Presented by the authority of the Boston Red Sox and Minnesota Twins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Boston Red Sox and the Minnesota Twins.
Thank you for reading that. Thank you for making the last few hours so enjoyable for me. I've enjoyed working with you, and we'll, I guess, see you in the middle of June.
Yes, I'll be there. This has been fun.
Taylor Featherston will hit for the Twins. Jimenez still out there for the Red Sox. Featherston hitting in what was Sano's spot. Sano was 0 for 3, but he put the ball in play 3 times. Williams Astudillo is on deck. Up and away, ball 1. Dedger Jimenez trying to finish things off for the Red Sox, down and away, and it's 2-0. Featherston, one of those guys who has 219 big league at bats for 3 different teams. Likely will be in Rochester on the AAA roster, and if the need arises, that it almost always does, it seems, if he's doing okay down at AAA, might see action for his 4th big league team. There's a strike, and it's 3-1. Most of his major league at bats came 3 years ago with the Angels, and now 3-2. And an opening walk here in the 9th. Twins have just 3 hits. Dozier has 2 of them, the home run and the single. And then there was the Sun-aided double off the bat of Morrison back in the 4th inning. They've taken now 3 walks. And Astudillo will hit in what was Rosario's spot. Big swing and a miss. 1 strike. Astudillo might be headed for AAA. Last year, he played AAA baseball for Reno and hit .342 in 120 at bats.
That'll open up some eyes.
It opened up the eyes in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Been looking for some catching depth in the organization for many years. Fouled back.
Defensive change for Boston, now playing second base, baseman number 10, Santiago Astillero.
1-2 to Astudillo. It wasn't just last year. In his minor league career, and he's played professionally now, this is his 9th year. He's a .311 lifetime hitter in the minor leagues. Two and two. Chopper to third. Nice pickup. And Astudillo thrown out at first, and on the play, Featherston goes to second.
Red Sox taking the sure route. They've got the pretty commanding lead here in the bottom of the 9th inning. No chance to get a double play on that, so they grab the out at first base as Betts goes across the diamond.
Lamont Wade hitting now for the Twins. Strike one. And taking a little bit low. Twins like his plate discipline. And he's definitely one for Twins fans to keep an eye on as he gets ready for the 2018 season. Off the end of the bat, a foul ball, and it's out of play. And on the follow through, Swihart might have gotten plunked by the bat.
Checking the mask, shaking the head, making sure everything's still there. Knocked the dome almost right off him.
1-2. On the ground, a hot ground ball and a nice play. 2 down, and on the play, Featherston goes to third base.
One advantage you have at second base is you can make a lot of these dives right there because the throw's not very long. If you do that at shortstop or sometimes at third base, you got that long throw to make, but a second baseman, short throw. That's why you see a lot of diving plays at that position.
Santiago Espinal is the second baseman. Here's Nick Gordon, former #1 pick for the Twins. Tom's son, Dee's brother. Had a really good spring going here before being sent out. He is a shortstop. Saw some time at second base, a lot of time at second base in camp early on. And he's behind in the count quickly 0-2. Some people think that when he gets to the big leagues, it might be as a second baseman. But right now, you get a chance to play, presumably at Rochester, some at shortstop. And a swing and a miss. And Gordon's gone in 3 pitches. And the Red Sox finish off a 6-1 win.
That's kind of like we talked about in the open. You know, Sano we talked about, and he made some fine defensive plays down at third base. We talked about David Price in the open, and he pitched a very strong outing for himself. So it's one of the few times where the open actually carries through the game.
Doesn't happen very often. So we're in midseason form in that regard. There we go. Jerry, thanks so much, and thanks to Tom Caron as well for joining us on the broadcast. Final score 6-1 Boston. For Jerry Remy, Tom Caron, and our entire crew here in Fort Myers, I'm Dick Bramer, and thank you for watching.
Coming up